Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. I want to welcome you to our Loyalty Expo Finalist Preview Series. In this series, we'll hear from leading brands that'll be part of the 2022 Loyalty Expo this year in Charlotte, North Carolina from September 19th to the 21st. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Richard Long. He's a Senior Manager, Global Loyalty at McDonald's. They are a finalist in the Loyalty Program Design category this fall. And they're going to be presenting in September. So, Richard, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Nice to be here.
First off, would like to get a little bit of background on you, maybe a brief overview of your history, your work history, and your role at McDonald's.
Sure. So my career has been focused on the customer for 20 plus years or so. I've been on the agency side, on the consulting side, and on the corporate brand side. And that's where I am today at McDonald's. So I've been with McDonald's, all part of global loyalty, for about 4+ years or so. And I basically focus on loyalty program design, strategy, road mapping, and its future evolution. Also, some key things that I focus on is putting together our global point of views when it comes to different elements around loyalty, whether we're talking about cryptocurrency or gaming or things like that, that I lead a lot of our point of views around what we think is the right thing that we should do or that we should not do, to be able to then provide it out to the rest of our markets. Then also I try to create a kind of a knowledge sharing culture and community and ecosystem here across all of McDonald's from a global standpoint, really trying to build a sense of community in terms of thought leadership, providing guidance and expertise, creating just a lot of discussion and conversation among markets and among teams to be able to have much more of a system of knowledge that we can really help to leverage and learn from one another.
Okay, excellent. Real quick question, follow up to that. When you look at your role, how do you elevate, and you do a really good job of it, how do you elevate the focus on customer loyalty internally?
So I've created like an ecosystem of knowledge sharing and knowledge repositories, from like an internet site to sending out like email alerts and notifications around industry news and things like that. I also very closely monitor the entire competitive QSR industry very closely, and I document and I share that out on a quarterly basis with the rest of our global loyalty community, which is about 400 or 500 leaders and stakeholders across the organization. I also keep close tabs on our own internal McDonald's loyalty landscape and things like that. So we utilize quite a bunch of different tools, newsletters, things like that, and able to get this information out there. We also conduct regular forums and calls across our entire communities. So there's quite a lot of things in place to be able to kind of create and nurture that sense of community.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little bit more about your award submission, what you plan on sharing with the conference attendees?
Sure. So the presentation is really going to be talking about the process, the details of how we went about trying to design the world's largest and most engaging loyalty program. And with that, we wanted to first kind of start around the process, who was involved, how it was a very cross-functional way of looking at loyalty, pulling in people from operations, from legal, from finance, from technology, all these different areas to get a great view and perspective from every part of the planning process. But really, what we first started with was looking at what do we want to achieve? What are our goals? So our goals are really about driving incremental business through stronger value and excitement with our customers. It's about increasing data through new data collection methods and being able to identify our customers for the first time. Because for the most part, I mean, we have about 65 million transactions a day, which is a lot. But if you think about it, that the vast majority of almost all of those were anonymous to us. So when they're anonymous, we don't really know who they are. We can't really do anything about that. We can't market to them. We can't personalize those experiences or anything like that. Then the third the third main goal was about reducing our dependencies on offers. We don't want to just be putting out offers and discounting things left and right. We wanted to have another lever that we could pull in order to help to draw in customers, to increase frequency, to increase average checks, but also just to get them more as a loyal customer to McDonald's. So those were kind of the key things with regards to that. Then the rest of the presentation gets a little bit more into the details about how it was that we went around designing the program, from looking at industry best practices, key competitors, what are the industry table stakes out there. We also gathered quite a lot of internal market learnings. So most people may be most familiar with My McDonald's Rewards in the US and some other big markets of ours. However, we started our loyalty actually back in 2016 in some smaller markets like Austria. And that allowed us to kind of test out a lot of like what works, what doesn't work on a smaller stage in order to really help to kind of gain some great learnings, both good and bad, of the things that really need to go into an overall global design standpoint. And that was really, really effective in learning from what we've already been doing in some of our other markets and helping to create then our overall global design. And then from there, we also did quite a lot of consumer research and focus groups and things like that to really to test concepts, to test ideas, to pressure test some of our approaches that we're looking to take. And then ultimately, there's quite a lot of testing that actually went in, not just technical testing, but also a lot of strategic testing and understanding that the member experience was going to be what we intended it to be. And then the rest of the presentation will get into some of the kind of the key approaches that we took in order to leverage the scale of McDonald's, but to create something that doesn't feel like one big global program that makes you feel like you're a very small customer and part of that entire process itself. So we try to create kind of something with great global scale that had all that kind of that brand consistency and standardization, but also at the same time was able to leverage a lot of our technology to maintain our economies of scale with one tech stack. But also another part of that was kind of the localization of it as well, where what we call like the freedom within a framework. And that's trying to really create program design that is mostly global in nature, but it's also local at the same time. So it feels like if you're a customer in any one of our markets, the program feels like it's designed for you and for your market and for your culture, for the dynamics that go on in your market. It's not like it's designed for like one size fits all. So I think that's really a key to our success of that. So I'll talk a little bit more about that during the presentation, about kind of that global and that local aspect to create something that we felt could be very seamless from one market to another that captures all that kind of that global and local feel to it.
Great. When you look at the program, what are some of the most proud moments you have working on the My McDonald's loyalty program?
I think probably the proudest moment was probably about a year ago, like last July, when we launched My McDonald's Rewards in the US. Now, the US is probably it's McDonald's largest and most visible market we have. It wasn't our first loyalty market, but it was our most visible, and it probably had the most attention played to it. And we knew that as we rolled out our overall global loyalty design, starting with one of our lead markets being the US, that if it could work here, it could work anywhere. But then again, if it failed here, that we knew we were in serious trouble. So the fact that we launched very, very successfully in the US, we did so much preparation and planning for that. But ultimately, when it came to launch day, and all of a sudden we were able to kind of monitor like people's reaction to it. We saw the excitement, we saw all the signups, we saw all the great attention to this. We knew that we had created some magic here with regards to launching our global design here. And then there was just kind of a cascade, a domino effect for the rest of our lead markets. After after the US, then shortly after that, then Germany followed, and then Canada, then Australia, and then just the UK followed just a couple months ago or so. And that was kind of the culmination of a lot of really hard work that we've been doing really for the last like 3 or 4 years or so in terms of rolling out this overall global program across the world in all of our top markets, and then building in that consistency with all the rest of our markets around the world.
Excellent. When you look at the presentation, what are a few key takeaways attendees can expect to learn from your submission?
So I guess one key takeaway is that whether it's McDonald's or whether it's any brand, that anybody can just copy what someone else is doing. Any other brand could have replicated. They could have created like a mobile app-driven, points-based loyalty program designed similar to what many programs out there exist, but just kind of copy pasting kind of what someone else is doing or being able to just kind of replicate it. I think that really does it an injustice in terms of what we were able to do. So even if it feels like our program today is kind of maybe more transactional in nature, or might be a little bit more similar to a lot of other programs out there, this is just the start of our loyalty journey. This is really just in terms of building our foundation. So I think the key takeaway is that it's not just a matter of just doing what someone else is doing or just doing what works best for others and just repeating that, but it's really taking that approach in some of those learnings, but then applying it to our own business model, our own customers, and how we operate and how that applies, but thinking about it in a broader terms in terms of what this overall will be and what it can be over the course of our loyalty journey. A couple other, I guess, key takeaways I mentioned a little earlier is about kind of our 2 key principles about both kind of global, where we say like no unicorns. We don't just kind of build things just for a market. We build things to be able to leverage kind of the scale of McDonald's, but also provide a lot of that brand consistency and standardization that our customers would expect. But then also the other aspect is kind of the local, which we call like freedom with a framework, where that means that allow markets to be able to customize and configure certain elements of their programs that meets their market's needs the best, because global can't be determining everything that's going to work best, whether it's Austria or France or where have you. Those markets need to be the ones doing that because it's ultimately their program. It's not our program. Then I guess lastly, a key takeaway is that with McDonald's, that our owner operators, they're about 95% of our business around the world. So that's a bunch of small business owners who operate, who independently, they run their businesses, in that they are key stakeholders in this. And we need to not just respect that, but we need to bring them to the table from day one, because the success or failure of our program, it's not going to be just about some really great member benefits or things like that. But if our owner operators aren't buying into this and supporting it and advocating for this, then it's not going to succeed. So I think that's very important for a business like ours, when you have stakeholders beyond just simply your own customers that you really need to be planning for all along.
Absolutely. Well, Rich, as always, it's great talking with you. Looking forward to seeing you again at the conference, and looking forward to listening to your presentation.
Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for listening. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks in Charlotte. Have a wonderful day.